Okay. Excellent. Settle down on the mat, but face down, hands stacked, elbows out, forehead, just resting on the hands. Take a few breaths here. Anchor down at your shoulder blades, kind of press the elbows into the mat, and then think about pulling your hands apart and pulling your shoulder blades together. So we're going to activate right away. Press down, pull the shoulder blades together, and internally create that triangle between the outside of the elbows and the bottom of your shoulder blades. Then go right into breath. First, kind of lengthen the top of the feet, stretch it out. As you're taking your breath, remember when we are facing forward, it's kind of like toning your diaphragm. So you're really going to kind of push the belly into the mat and let it expand. And my visual in my own body always is when you pour pancake batter onto the skillet and it kind of spreads. And then when you exhale, very consciously start to let the rib cage soften, and then at the very end, pull your navel up to your spine. And I'll give you a few moments to just really stay anchored in the outside of the elbows, the tip of the shoulder blades, and then that expansive breath, belly to navel. And when I say belly, again, it's almost like it's this oval of soft, visceral body that's between the bones of your rib cage and the bones of your pelvis, that are known as our guts. Okay. Visceral body just sounds so much more visceral. Okay. Now, releasing that, bend your knees and just let kind of shake out your feet. So the soles of your feet are up towards the ceiling. And all we're going to do is cross the ankles, uncross, and then recross the other foot in front. Don't make overly big movements, but stay in motion, kind of like the tick-tocking of a clock. Stay present with your breath, present with your forehead, the inside of your elbows, and the tips of your shoulder blades, but keep those shin bones and feet in motion. When we pause, lengthen out with the top of the right foot. So take the entire leg and top of the right foot to the mat. Press it down a little bit, and then start to lift your left knee up off of the mat. Okay, as you're lifting up, try to push your left hip pointer to the ground, and then we're going to lengthen out with that leg, just like you did with the right leg. Reaching the toes back, pressing the hip pointer down, and engaging all of the length of your left leg. See if you can do little circles with your foot, right and left, or clockwise and counterclockwise, I guess it would be. And then set that leg down. Shake your hips side to side, and when you pause, go back to 3 deep breaths. Inside of the elbows, tips of the shoulder blades, connection to that full belly expansion, navel up. Then go ahead and bend your knees again. Soles of the feet are upward. Let's crisscross the ankles again. Start with one in front, undo it, and then cross the other one in front. And then stay in motion and still stay present with your breath. This is a little bit for me, like patting my head and rubbing my belly. So staying really present in my breath when I'm making these motions takes some body-mind connection. When we pause, just start to lengthen out with the left leg to the top of the foot. Really press down a little bit with that and start with your attention at your right hip pointer, pressing that down as well and lifting that right leg up off. Think of the knee as lifting, hip pointer is pressing down, and then stretch all the way out with that leg. Reach with the toes, kind of a Barbie foot there or a driving foot. See if you can do clockwise and counterclockwise circles with your foot. Then lengthen out and drop down. From here, we're gonna lift the forehead up a bit. Slide your elbows underneath you for Sphinx pose. Spread the fingers, plant the palms, come through your forearms to your elbows, and then from your elbows to your shoulders. And then breathe deep, lifting the collarbones. As we exhale, we're going to allow ourselves to slowly take our chin to the left shoulder, and then gaze forward on the inhale. And then over the right shoulder. And forward. And then the left shoulder. Go back and forth, making sure that you're really mindful about your gaze, going forward and then to one side. Then pause, press through the forearms, and really think from solar plex to throat, from throat to base of the nose, from base of nose to the back of the head. Make a very mindful connection up your spine for your cobra today. Then kind of squeeze the glutes a bit and press down with the entire length of the legs to the top of the feet. Adding a bit of kind of muscular strength, a little bit like how we are in our mountain pose. Make your Sphinx pose very stable and strong. And then breathe into it. Let's stack our hands, move our elbows outward, and place our forehead back down. Go right into nice 3 breaths. Remember, whenever we're down here, forehead and the entire front of the body against the mat, go back to that pancake breath. Expand and kind of tone your diaphragm and then pull your navel up so you're engaging your Mula Bandha. Then on the next movement here, lift the forehead just a tiny bit. We're going to extend our right arm forward and roll over to our side. When we do this, look down at your feet, create a straight line all the way, press out with the heels, and actively pull 10 toes up to your kneecaps. Let's take our fingertips to the mat. Ear is going to be right down on the bicep on this part. We're still in just really activating. So inhale deep. When you exhale, press through your fingertips of your left hand, squeeze the legs, press the heels away, and float the legs up. And then release. Inhale here. Actively press and lift. Get as much activation as you can through the feet, through these 5 fingertips. One more. Remember, release, inhale, then squeeze and exhale. When we come down, relax a bit and bend your left knee. Slide that foot up and then turn the knee upward. We're gonna take your hand and grab the ankle, lying down tree pose, but kind of soften into the knee joint a bit and really get this connection back to the tips of your shoulder blades. When you're pressing the foot down, stabilize between the hip pointers. That's right below where the navel's pulling back, and then press that knee up to the ceiling and press your pelvis forward. Just a breath or two there. Then release that and grab your big toe. The leg will only go into extension where you can start with a generous bend in the knee and then manipulate at the ball of the foot to send the ball of the foot up. Remember, it's really early in our practice, so we might be a bit stiff in the inner groin, outer hip. I know I am. Okay, remember this is almost like a balance. Now let go of that big toe. And as you come down, we're going to come down with our hands stacked, connected to our tips of our shoulder blades and our elbows, but this entire leg wants to stay up and engaged. As you're rolling to your belly, plant the forehead, elbows, bring that left hip pointer to the ground and lift the left heel, press through the right leg. A bit of effort, and you're learning to isolate the muscles on that left leg. Lifting up and engaging. When you come down, remember to kind of go right back to that pancake breath. Expand the belly, pull the navel up and in. The entire front of the body now is resting against the mat, but you're still actively in your, maybe to your third breath. And then taking that forehead up, let's extend the left arm out, roll right over to our side again, and look at the toes down there. Pull them back, fingertips, and inhale deep, and when you're exhaling, press the heels away and float the legs up together. Release, start your inhale. Then press. 3 more. After your 5th one, relax and bend that top leg, that right leg, the knee just bends, rotate the knee up. Let's grab the ankle. Stay in this balanced position on the side of the body. Nice straight line. And internally, remember, you're going to contract the shoulder blades, to pick that knee up towards the ceiling, and then really get that connection of sacral bone pushing forward, pubic bone stabilizing backward. Then when you release, actively grab that big toe, start to extend it up. Move more from the ball of the foot. When we release this, remember, we're going to engage all these muscles here. Bring the elbows down, stack the hands. As soon as your hip pointer, right hip pointer comes to the ground, press through the entirety of your left leg. No, right leg. And then, no, it is left leg. And then squeeze the muscles around that right leg. Release that down. Take 3 of those breaths, pancake to navel up into the spine. We're really getting those bandhas working before we go into the activeness of the physical body, away from breath and visceral body. Let's go ahead. When you relax that third breath, bend the knees, soles of the feet up, and take those shin bones and feet into that cross recross. Keep the legs in motion. Now let's go back again, and right here, pause. Stretch out with your left leg first. Kind of press and engage that leg from the hip pointer to the top of the foot, from the inside of your elbows to the tips of your shoulder blades, and then float that right knee up. Push the right hip pointer down. Stretch out with that leg. Reach with the toes. Then engage the ball of the foot. See if you can do little circles. Count clockwise and then counterclockwise. Might be the hardest thing we do in our practice today. And press it down. When you press down with the top of the feet from both sides to the hip pointers and just kind of check in. Then bend both knees, soles of the feet up. Crisscross. Get them in motion. There we go. When we pause, press through the entire length of the right leg to the top of the foot. Now, engage hip pointer all the way through, and then float that left knee up. Try to stay connected down at that hip pointer and extend out with the leg. Reach with the toes, then pull them back, then press out with the ball of the foot. Lift up with the heel, press down with your right leg, your left hip pointer. See if you can do circles, clockwise and counterclockwise. Then releasing down, shake your hips side to side. Stay anchored again, top of the feet, hip, inside of the elbows. Then release. We're just going to slide our hands to our lower ribs. Lift the torso, coming to table. Curl your toes under and bring your fingertips forward. We're going to go into a cat pose, roll back a little bit, and then forward. And do that a couple of times, arcing through your back from the tip of your tailbone through the crown of your head, and moving from fingertips to then go ahead. The next time you are on your fingertips, the weight on your fingertips, plant the hands, go to a nice neutral spine, and then lift up into down dog. We're going to bend at the crease of the hips, press out of the heel of the hands, and take the weight primarily to the legs, right and left. Now, as slowly and intentionally as you can, thinking about that strength that we created individually in the legs. Walk one foot forward and then the other. All the way up underneath your wrists, just kind of focusing on jackknifing at the hips, having the upper body kind of released, but engaging the muscles along the legs. Once you get there, go to 10 fingertips. Release the head. Then sweep your fingertips to the right. Drag your hips to the left. Sweep your fingertips to the left. Drag your hips to the right. Sweep your fingertips to the center. Release the upper body, and then slowly, slowly slide the arms right up the front of the legs. As you do so, it's almost like you can press into the ground and spread the toes, and then come up the strength of the legs, and bring your hands to heart center. So we're going to work still a lot about the kind of isolating a bit of that strength up and down the legs, and going into some salutations and variations. Okay. Now, right here, let's press the palms together, thumbs at the chest, and lower the chin for a moment. When you're breathing, we don't have that ground underneath us, but think about keeping that breath kind of really isolated in the full visceral body here. By that, you remember how I talked about if we took our fingertips from the fanning of the solar plex, you would follow the bones of your rib cage and then find the bones of your pelvis and that oval in between. We want full breath there. Let's drop the arms down, turn the palms forward, and get a bit of a lift. As soon as the arms go out to our shoulders, bend more in your hips than your knees. And bring that body forward, just to where you wish. Let's go back with our left leg. As you're sliding back, engage the entire leg as you're doing so. Press through the fingertips today and come out of the heel of your right foot to your knee. Drop the hips a bit and then lift up a little bit like down dog. Think of the crease of the hips a bit. And then drop, getting that stretch and that strength through the left leg, staying in the bone of your right shin bone, and just go up and down a few times. Next time you're up, we're just going to come down and come to the flat hand of your left leg. Lift up out of your left hip pointer and twist. See if you can find a deep, deep engagement in that entire left leg to the left palm, and then twist in the visceral body. Drop the knee down, left knee, go deeper into the right knee, and just a nice crescent lunge here. We're going to move from crescent lunge to kneeling warrior. As we circle our left arm back and press down, think about actively pressing maybe about 10 pounds. Like you can push it down with your palms, lift up, and then go right into your crescent lunge again. It's a kneeling crescent lunge and a kneeling warrior right now. And then press back. Swing into it and actively press. From here, we're just going to pull that leg back, right leg back. Come forward, bend more at the waist, and then press back with both legs into plank. Slide right down to your belly. And then move right into Sphinx pose. Now remember how we had our hip pointers to the top of the feet really anchored. Now when you're sliding your hands forward, truly think about that engagement between the hip pointers and the spine rising up out of that. And then stable at the forearms and lift. Few breaths here. Simply slide your right arm forward. We're going to go right to our right side, flexing the foot. Fingertips lift the legs up just like we did earlier. When you drop the right leg down, bend the left knee. Let's grab it. Just for a moment, find your lying down tree pose. Tips of the shoulder blades, hip pointers. Lift that knee up to the ceiling, release the foot, grab the big toe, manipulate at the ball of the foot. We're going to go to our elbows, inside of our elbows, forehead on stacked hands, and your focus is on the left leg from hip pointer to foot. See if you can keep that leg up off the ground. Plant that down. Now spread the toes, reach. As we come down, immediately lift your forehead, pull your elbows underneath you, both legs are long, hip pointers to top of the feet, elbows to hands, spine rising up. Take a breath there. And then slide the left arm forward. We're going to roll over, engage the legs, lift them up. And as you come down, bend that right knee, grab the ankle. Your focus is internal hip pointers Tips of the shoulder blades, knee goes up towards the ceiling. Release it to grab the big toe, manipulate at the ball of the foot. And then again, right here, when we go to the inside of the elbows, forehead down, find that deep engagement at the hip pointer. Really reach through the leg, pulling the muscles in and around. As the entire leg comes down, we're going to float our forehead up, pull the elbows underneath, plant. See what's there for your Sphinx pose. Now, imagine when we go into up dog from here. Okay, we have this strength from hip pointers to top of the feet. We have the spine deeply engaged and safely engaged. And the forearms. Now we're going to move to our palms. So lower the head down. Slide your hands to your lower rib cage. You can press up through your knees or the top of your feet, but keep this spinal engagement, this hip pointer engagement, and up dog. Then lift into down dog. You can bring the knees down or manipulate at the tops of the feet to one by one, settle into your down dog. Now again, when we walk forward, I'd like you to, as consciously as you can, keep your hips not swaying side to side. So when you're lifting and walking forward, think about keeping the hips quite engaged and use the muscles of the legs. When you reach your wrists with your toes and the balls of your feet, release completely down. Now this time you're going to slide your hands from the top of the feet up the shin bones, lift like cobra. From the strength of the legs, fold over and hug, and then stand yourself right up. When we stand up, take the hands to heart center, close the eyes, and imagine you have these kind of energetic tubes of your legs just into the earth and activated with strength and intention and breath. And when we drop the arms down, the palms will go forward. Lift all the way up. And as the arms go, remember we're bending more at the waist than the knees, so that you kind of swan dive your upper body forward, but it's fully engaged as the fingertips come down. And your right leg, we're just as strongly activated as when we're on our belly here. So when you're going back to your lunge, you're on your fingertips, you're in the heel to the knee, that bone of the left shin. Then drop the hips down as much as you can, and then kind of like a down dog, think of lifting up at the crease of the hips and activating those muscles all the way along the leg as you drop. Up and down. Next time we're up, we're just going to kind of lengthen to a nice long feeling with the spine. Drop the knee down, go deep into the crease of that left foot and crescent lunge. We're going to go right into the kneeling warriors, actively engaging. Swing into it, press out of it. This could be such a mindless and almost worthless thing, or you can activate the entire time you're doing this. Then from here, we're simply gonna pull our knee back, come forward and come out of the strength of the legs for your plank. Slowly, slowly, come on down. Slide your arms right into Sphinx here and plant for a moment. See if you can find all of these positions completely mindful through how you stabilize the spine, the breath, the neck, the head. Now, from here, extend out with your left arm and let's roll right to the side. Fingertips. Lift, and when you lower down, start to bend that right knee. Let's go to our lying down tree pose. Go right into activating your Anatasana. And remember, when we're coming down now, from here, we go to the elbow points, forehead on the hands, but we are activating that right leg the entire time. And as the leg comes down, go right up into your Sphinx pose. Hip pointers to hip pointers, the spine is rising up. Once you're set, go with that right arm so that you'll roll over to your left side, engage the toes, lift up from your fingertips here to the heels, and then as you come down, take that bend in the left knee, rotate it upward, let's grab. Lying down tree pose. We have that engagement between the hip pointers and the shoulder blades, and then go to your Anatasana. Grab the big toe, press up with the ball of the foot. What's going on with the muscles in that left leg as we release it, rotate around and come down. As the left leg goes down, we're lifting up to our forearms from the strength of Sphinx pose. Now take this Sphinx pose into your up dog. Right here, press either through the knees or the top of the feet, but that beautiful strength of the spine already engaged, settle that into your down dog. Very mindfully move it into your down dog. Okay, so now we'll go into, you want to keep this mindfulness as you go into the sun salutation, but there won't be as much time. So kind of dig in, take that bend in your knees to look between the hands. We're gonna just simply step forward. You might take a couple of steps, or you might take one step. Right forward, and then take your hands, rise up, come into the crease of the hips from the strength of the legs, and fold yourself over those legs. Use that to rise up, reach to the sky, and then come into mountain pose. We're going to step back with that left leg in our sun salutation. Palms down, we get this full lift, we bend at the crease of the hips. Glide back with that left leg mindfully. Drop down to the knee. Nice lift for your crescent lunge into your kneeling warrior. Very mindfully come forward a second time. And back. Turn your right palm up, move into a half camel. Reach up and engage. Then come forward into kind of a modified crescent here and come up to a standing warrior. Engage just like every other pose you've done today. Exalt up, straighten your front leg, and come forward into Trikonasana. As strongly and as mindfully as we can. Slide your left hand back to your hip. Turn to the ground. Reach and lift that left heel up. We're going to go into plank right from here. Press back and lower straight down. Now, as soon as you lower down, extend that right arm, roll over to the right side and find your Anatasana. We're a little warmer now. We might be able to just really engage into it. We're still going to go to Sphinx pose here. Release, roll. Start with your elbows to the ground, elbow pointers as you're planting your left hip pointer and lifting that left leg. As the leg comes down, lift into Sphinx pose. Slide the hands back, lift into up dog. Slide back into down dog. And pause. Take that deep bend in the knees as you're coming forward. Come up to the top of the mat. This feels like Sphinx. We're lifting to a full extension and folding from your full extension. Breathing your way all the way up. And when you return, hands to heart center. Feel that activation from hip pointer down to the soles of the feet. So this whole practice really is building that kind of pathway. We're going to lift up, fold forward, and glide mindfully back with your right leg. Knee down, crescent lunge. And back to a kneeling warrior, engaging as you come. And kneeling warrior. We go back onto that heel for a half camel. As we lift up, come forward, and we're going to right up to our warrior pose. Lots of strength built from the legs. Exalt to straighten your front leg. Come into Trikonasana. Mindfully and as intentionally and as easily through the spine as we can. Your right hand's going to come back to the hip. And as we come down, we're going to plant our hands and just glide back into our plank. When we lower down, glide right out with that left arm and go right into your Anatasana. And it's from here when we go to our hip pointers here. Don't stack those elbows first, or not stack them, stack the hands, elbows down and make that deep connection. And that's where when the leg comes down, you go to your Sphinx, and then your Sphinx goes to your up dog, and then your up dog goes to your down dog. And there we are for a breath. And we're going to do one more series with this. So bend into the knees, look between the hands. And when we step up, rise out of that place, fold into the crease of the hips, and all the way up. There we go, 2 mountain pose. We got that engagement, like almost like you're plugged electrically into the ground. And rising up. Then more at the hips, then the knees. Glide back with your left leg. Knee down right into a crescent lunge. Right back to kneeling warrior. Engage this entire left side as you lift the right arm. Now from here, we're going to slide our left leg forward, go right into Trikonasana from there. So left leg comes up, right leg starts to lengthen and strengthen, Trikonasana. Turn your gaze downward, then deep into your right knee, and take this right hand, bring it forward and to the right of your foot. Now you get to engage that entire leg and lift it up off the ground for your balance. Feel like that ability to pull the muscles in and engage, let you go into this pose with such strength and ease. Then deep, deep, deep into the right knee so that we can come back, drop the knee down, slide back and go right into plank. Drop all the way to the belly and glide your right hand forward, Anatasana. What is available to you here as you go to your inside of your elbows, forehead, but what's going on with that strength from your hip pointer to your left leg? And that's what pulls us into Sphinx pose, into up dog, and then it settles us into down dog, our place of the spine and breath. And when we make that bend in the knees, look between the hands, and mindfully come to the top of the mat for a full half lift, bending at the waist and floating up. Last one. Hands at heart center, energetically just in your legs. As we release to lift up, bend at the waist more than the legs, and glide back with that right leg. Knee down for your crescent. Press back to kneeling warrior, strength. Back for your half camel. And when we're pulling this right leg forward, we're coming out of pure strength in the legs to transfer it to Trikonasana. To take a huge deep bend in the left knee and circle this arm to the outside. Use that lying down Anatasana feeling to lift the right leg up from that strength. Then deep, deep, deep into the left knee as we come back and drop the knee down. We go back and right into your plank. And the very last part of this is Down for left arm and Anatasana. You go to the tips of your inside of the elbows, lifting that right leg up. And into Sphinx pose. Sphinx pose goes into your up dog. Up dog goes into your down dog. And we pause. As we lift our heels to look between the hands and take this last step forward, rise up fully out of the strength of this practice. Fold and find a quiet place for a moment in your forward fold, and then float energetically connected to the earth. Close the eyes as the hands go out away from your shoulders and your thumbs rest at your heart. Now imagine for a moment we're going to go right into Shavasana, because that's all the time we have, but right here, when you are on your legs, you are in your pelvis, your spine is neutral, your breath is neutral, the head floats on top of the spine. This is where we will come to our back. So from this place, when you open your eyes, bring the arms out, just bend into the knees and then the hips. And when you come down to the knees. We're going to do 3 cat and cows, just lightly moving back and forward. If you need to do any lateral moves, go ahead. Then go ahead and just sweep the feet around in front of you and down to your back. When we come to our back, do whatever you wish with the legs, but come down to your neutral spine. When you're in your neutral spine, today, again, we just kind of need to come through this. I'd like us to think of pressing through the back of the head and finding a lightness in the front of the forehead. I'd like you to connect between your shoulder blades and press them down and find a lightness in the throat. Then become heavy in the pelvis and soft and light with breath in the belly. Then turn the palms up. We're going to inhale in on each of the next 6 exhales. Release and count backwards from 5 to 0. Resting at 0. Take the mindfulness of your practice. Quickly bring yourself deeply inward. When you rest at 0, let go of breath, let go of body, let go of mind, and be in the action of being for a moment. Because we do so much, the action of being can be difficult. And yet we need that. Slowly expanding the palms. Let's reach the arms up overhead and take a stretch right to left and left to right. And then roll to one side. As we cradle the head and the hands and the knees to the chest. Use that to lift up to a seated position. Hands at heart center. And thumbs to the chest. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. I'll ask we can return to our life with a calm mind, but a body strongly and energetically connected to the world. Namaste.